What's up, Los Angeles? What's up, Trojan family? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. We are Los Angeles Sports. As always, thank you for hanging out with me. A little Trojans recruiting update for you. Some big news out of USC land, an official commitment. So we'll talk about that. We got Chad Bowden was on Trojan Live, GM, last night, and teased that 2 or 3 commits will be announcing this week. We got one of those today, and more likely coming, so we can see what that looks like. And then, I don't know if this is necessarily bad news, but there was a recruit that shut down his recruitment that is currently committed elsewhere that USC was targeting hard, and it looks like they will not be able to flip him. So we'll talk about that quickly as well. Show is always brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag today. All the best moneyline, game spreads, everything you can imagine. One of the best wagering platforms out there. March Madness Final Four. Our women of Troy fell just short, even without the great Juju Watkins. Played admirably. Unfortunately, you came up against a juggernaut in UConn. Would have loved to have seen that game with Juju out there. It was just a special season, so, your heart breaks for her and her injury, but the rest of the team as well, as they came up just short, but reached another Elite Eight and a very good season for that team, for Coach Gottlieb, and the future is very bright. Will be interesting to see what Juju decides to do. But if you still want to wager on women's or men's March Madness, or with hockey playoffs, basketball playoffs, Dodgers games, all that can be done at betonline.ag, where the game starts. Tell them the LAFB network sent you. As I said, thank you, as always, for coming and hanging out with me. I am Ryan Dyrud, co-host of this show. Our live call-in show will be back on Wednesday evening, 6 p.m., with Tim Prangley and the Madman. Tim is at practice right now, actually, as of me recording this, taking in the sights and sounds. And, so he'll be back live tomorrow. Wanted to get something up on a recruiting update from me, all of our written content on LAFB Network, as always. So the big news out of the Southland today, officially, Tomuhini Topui, defensive lineman out of Mater Dei, officially commits to USC after decommitting from Oregon just last week. Remember the big news after decommitting? When the announcement came out, he was on campus at USC, rocking USC gear. Immediately, all the main platforms predicted he would flip to SC. A source that I have also, I guess, confirmed or predicted that was going to happen as well. And now, officially, it has happened. He was on campus today. Tim actually saw him on campus with some family, looking very happy. Huge commitment. Huge. Not only, for multiple reasons. The very obvious ones, right? He's a very good player. Huge body, 6'2", 6'3", 330 pounds. Trinity League, tremendous player in the Trinity League at Mater Dei with their historic season. That saw them go undefeated and win national championship, essentially. Was just dominant in what he was able to do there in the middle. He has the rare athleticism and speed of someone of that size. So the obvious being you get an elite, talented defensive lineman that fits the size and build that you're trying to create here at USC, now playing in the Big Ten. So that's the obvious benefit. He's going to pair nicely. He's going to, seeing what Coach Henderson will be able to do with him, and Coach New, I think, will be really fun to see. So that's the obvious. 4-star right now, I think, honestly, based on people I've talked to, based on some chatter around, he's currently on, industry rankings, 15th ranked defensive lineman. On 3, for whatever reason, is the outlier, with him way down on their rankings. He's 49th on there, and he's top 10 on all the other 3. So that kind of pushes him to 15. I think when it's said and done, he'll be, if he's not a 5-star, he'll be real close, and he'll be a top 10 defensive lineman after his senior season this year. I think he's that good and that dominant. So, huge get in terms of that regard. And then the 2 other gets, local kid. Rebuilding that Mater Dei pipeline. There's a lot of other recruits that USC is going after at Mater Dei, and this feels like the door opening for that pipeline being rekindled. Not only do they get this elite player, local kid, but one that was committed to Oregon. Not just like Oregon was in the race, he was committed. And SC, with their new powers that be, with Chad Bowden and his front office team, Lincoln Riley, Sean Nua, Coach Henderson, were able to flip him from Oregon to then stay home. So it's just another, I say this, I feel like every show, another step in proving that what they're saying is not just lip service. They're actually doing it. It's not just saying, yeah, we value California. We know how good the talent is here. Our priority is keeping these kids home. They're actually doing it, right? What is that now? 12 of 18 kids in their 2026 class from California. Insane that they have 18 kids already. It's going to be I mean, I've said before, they're shooting for 30 to 35 kids in this class. A massive recruiting class. More than halfway there, potentially, if everyone stays committed. So, huge get in that. And then the final piece, USC has such a rich and fantastic history with the Polynesian community and the Poly kids in Southern California and across the country and across the globe in just having the culture, the history. We know what great football players, what great human beings, and all that adding into the fabric that is being a USC Trojan. And so Topui feels like the linchpin in a way for this next generation of potential Poly kids come to SC. And, you know, it's not always just one recruit then changes the thought process or changes or essentially opens the floodgates for that. But this feels like that could be that. You know, we know obviously Talanoa Ili, who was at Orange Lutheran, the linebacker, has moved back to Hawaii to finish his senior year. There were rumors. I haven't heard anyone officially say this, but there were like rumors out there that him and Topui were kind of a package deal in a way. I'm not sure that's true or not, but I do think that a lot of those allegiances and a lot of those friendships run very deep. And that's not just in the Poly community. I think you can say that for, you know, just the LA high school football community. But there absolutely is something powerful about that. And if that can truly be back to what it was during the heyday of having kind of the Polynesian community and I don't want to call it market, but just that culture back within the confines of USC football and a mainstay of where those kids want to play. I mean, that's great. That's great for the program, and that's what you want. So that's another layer of this, why this one single commitment is really big. You get the elite actual talent that is, you know, a great defensive lineman, the size, the athleticism, all that. You get the idea of flipping him from rival Oregon. You get that he's a local SoCal, LA prospect, and you get that you're rebuilding that Polynesian pipeline. So, I mean, it's a huge, huge commitment in that, and one that, you know, you hope obviously you retain and get all the way to the signing day. But obviously he is a high priority. He will be highly, not just regarded, but, you know, kept tabs on to make sure that he's feeling like a priority and nothing changes. So you see recruits like this one. We can obviously talk about Brandon Lockhart and what he's meant to this class and his kind of what he's meant in kind of player recruiting. When you look at Sean Astin, the running back out of Ohio, he's kind of fallen that too of being a self-recruiter and how important that is. We can look back to Jakeem Stewart from last year's class, obviously signed at the deadline, but since signing has been very vocal with USC and recruiting and what he wants to help build for the future. So I think there's just a lot of good momentum. So as I alluded to, Chad Bowden, if you watched it on Trojans Live, he had mentioned that a couple of commits were coming. Basically, I think the quote was, they were asking about California recruiting and the importance, and he kind of talked about, you know, how it's the best place for high school football, that they were going to kill it. They already are, but they're going to continue to kill it. And then he kind of ended like, we've got a few more to announce this week that I'm excited for you guys to hear about. So whether that's 2 or 3, for some kind of speculate 2, some speculate 3. We got the one in Topui. I feel pretty confident that the other is going to be, and we'll see, but the other will be Deshaun Rideau, running back out of Oaks Christian. He is announcing his commitment on Saturday on, I believe, the 247 YouTube channel, and has been heavily favored to go to USC. Obviously, there are still other options out there, but has basically said his decision is made. He just hasn't publicly announced it yet, and he will be doing that Saturday. Tremendous running back, track athlete. Pairing him with Sean Alston, that's a pretty dynamic running back duo in the 26 class. So I have a feeling that's the second one. Now, if there is a third, that will be kind of what is that third one, or who, I should say, is that third one. And there's been a lot of steam and talk, and I've written about it, about Cody Green, another Oregon commit, another Mater Dei kid, the top California recruit in the entire state, offensive tackle, elite offensive tackle, another kid that has potential to end up being a 5-star after this season. So definitely there is steam with that. It is real. He in an interview said that SC right now is his number 2. I don't think that's going to happen this week, though. So I wouldn't think he is one of those in that, because SC knows, obviously, they've gotten verbals. And that's why Chad Bowden said it. So they got their verbal commitment. It just hasn't been publicly announced yet. But I don't think it's Green yet. Green is supposed to be at Oregon this weekend on Friday to visit spring. And then he does have a visit lined up with Texas as well. So SC has been making waves. Obviously, he said publicly they're number 2. He said he said potentially even before his official visits, he may make his decision of either shutting down and staying with Oregon or decommitting to go elsewhere. So we should know sooner than later. I don't think it'll be this week. So who could that third be? Based on the way the interview is going, it felt like he was alluding to it being a California kid. So, Brandon Arrington is another one that is not committed anywhere, has picked up a lot of steam with USC. The number 1 athlete or corner, whatever position he's going to be officially listed at in the state. And, he's obviously been linked to Texas A&M, been linked to Oregon, all the big players. Alabama's had a really late push, but it seems like there's some good traction there with SC. I don't know if it's big enough yet for him to announce this week. So I'm not sure if he is in that lump, but he's been on campus a bunch. Been teasing a lot of stuff. I mentioned at the top of the show, Talanoa Ili. Could it be him? He's back in Hawaii now. He does have more visits scheduled later in the process. But could it be him now that Topui has committed? Could he be the next domino to then commit as well? I'll give you one name out of California. 4-star defensive lineman Kendall Guerville. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Guervil. Out of Florida. So not a local kid, but has been gaining momentum with USC. Coach Henderson has been hot on his trail, and could be a wild card, if you will, that could end up being a verbal commit for SC as they continue to stack that defensive line with size and talent. So we'll see what it is, but I think Deshaun Rideau feels real likely. I'm not going to say any guarantees, but that one feels pretty good. And then if there is a third one, I think Cody Green's not there yet. I think Arrington might be. I mean, that'd be incredible if that's the one, but that might be a ways away from officially committing. Talanoa Ili, I think, is a real possibility. And then if we're looking out of state, potentially Kendall Guervil out of Florida is someone that's been picking up momentum with SC. So we'll see. We'll keep you posted, obviously. One quick bit of news, if we want to call it bad news or whatever, but I'll just mention it quickly. Chris Henry Jr., USC had been making a big push ever since he was a surprise guest at their junior day, another Mater Dei kid, has been committed to Ohio State. They've been making a big push to flip him. There was some momentum. It was very real. He had talked many times about he was in constant contact with SC and was liking what they're building and liking kind of some of the new additions and improvement. He today officially shut down his recruitment. Things, we're still months away. Things can change, but canceled all his visits. He had visits scheduled for USC for Miami, for Oregon, canceled all those, pledging his complete commitment to Ohio State. So, obviously a loss. 5-star, one of the top receivers in the class. Big body, 6'5", 6'6", 195, 200 pounds. So a true kind of X outside receiver. Obviously comes from a great lineage, being the son of Chris Henry, former NFL player for the Cincinnati Bengals. A kid you would love to have seen been able to flip. Would have been a huge get for SC. But I don't think this should be deemed, and maybe I'm being too positive. You can make whatever assumptions you want. I don't think this should be deemed as like it is a loss. Obviously, you want to get every best player you can, but I don't think it should be deemed as a true loss. And certainly, there should not be the narrative that this was a top local prospect that SC let get out of the state, let get away. And here's why. Context matters, right? History matters. While Chris Henry attends Mater Dei right now, which gives SC the upper hand being local to him right now, he's an Ohio kid, right? Son of Chris Henry, as I mentioned, grew up in Cincinnati, attended 2 different Cincinnati area high schools, attended, I don't have it in front of me what they were called now, but attended one his freshman year, transferred to another Cincinnati high school his sophomore year, and then just last offseason transferred to Mater Dei, where he only played in 3 or 4 games after suffering a knee injury. So, yes, he is at Mater Dei, but he grew up in Ohio. Grew up probably just like someone like Topui, just like some of these kids that grew up here in LA, grew up wanting to go to Ohio State. He was offered a scholarship from Ohio State before even starting high school, and he committed. For those that don't know, he committed to Ohio State July of 23. So still, while he was in high school in Ohio, he committed to his local school, Ohio State. Since then, moved out here to go to Mater Dei. But I would not call him a local kid. So, depending whatever narrative's being pushed, yes, it is factual. He now lives and goes to Mater Dei, entering his senior year, and played his junior year here. But Ohio State is his home school. It's where his family is, where he grew up, where he attended his first 2 years of high school, where he committed before moving to California. So it was going to be a long shot to flip him. I think the fact that it was actually real, like there was a real possibility of it happening, like he was really contemplating. I think there was a lot of good momentum built up. I think that's a positive in itself. But ultimately, he decides to stick with his hometown school and probably dream school. And also, they're the national champions, so they got that going for them too. All this momentum at SC, they got to prove it this year on the field, right? You got to win more than 8 games, 7 games. You got to win 9, 10, 11 games, go to a Big Ten title game, potentially a playoff berth, to prove that this thing is really changing. It's not just lips. I don't think it's lip service anymore. Doing what they're doing on the trail, it's not just lip service, but there is going to be a lot of pressure on this current 2025 team to perform this year to salvage the future in the 26 class. Like, this feels like, and I'm probably dating me in my true historical knowledge, but this feels like the team, I'm not saying they're going to win a natty this year, but they have an opportunity to be like that 03 team. And obviously that 03 team won the natty against Michigan. But those years leading up to that, they were kind of building something. They put out some good product. And then after that is when the dynasty started. I think that's what this year's team not only has the ability to do, but has to do. Again, not win a natty this year. I'm not sure they're quite there yet. But I think they do have the pieces and they have the favorable schedule to put forth a really good product in the field. And as long as they don't blow games against the Marylands and the Minnesotas of the world and finish 9 or 10 wins, that'll be enough groundwork to then set up, again, I don't want to get ahead of myself and call it a dynasty, but set up your future success. Because now you've proven that, okay, we we have the coaching staff, we have the core in place, and then now we have the 2026 class that is elite, and then we can build a 27 class that's elite, and then you just set yourself up moving forward the rest of the way. So a lot of pressure, but I think wanted pressure for this 25 season. And a lot of these players, and this 24 and 25 class, I'm sure in a way might feel a little disrespected because there's all the chatter, rightfully so, is about this 26 class. But it's like, hey, we can still play, and we still have to play. Like, we're the actual team playing. When you think about the Jacoby Lane and the Makai Lemon of the 24 class, and some of the other solid players from that class that will be getting ample playing time, Elijah Paige, so on, Alani Noah. When you think of this incoming 25 class, obviously Jakeem Stewart and Hassan Longstreet are kind of the headlines. So Desmond Stevens is going to be a starter for the 24 class. Elijah Newby, who's kind of playing more of an edge role, could have a very role. Cam Fountain. I mean, there's going to be some integral starting pieces from that 24 class that is not probably getting talked about enough, but they're going to have a big impact. Right? Marcellus Williams, who we didn't see yet last year, cornerback, who might end up being, we're hearing from spring camp, is looking good. Last spring camp looked great as a true freshman. Now as a sophomore, he's going to probably have a vital role in that secondary that is only returning Kamari Ramsey into Carlos Nicholson in terms of kind of starting playing time. So a lot of that 24 class is not only, it's still very young. Sophomores. But what kind of impact can they have on building this foundation? And in this incoming 25 class? As I said, obviously Jakeem Stewart and Hassan Longstreet are the headliners. But you have a lot of talented kids that are out to prove that they can get some PT as true freshmen. And if they don't get PT as true freshmen, when they go in the next year, they will now be in that mantle of like, okay, we have the 24 class, 25 class, are our true starters. The hype is on 26, but hey, this is our team. Like, you got to compete to take our job. Good luck. That's what you want. So I think it's exciting. Got a ways to go, but the momentum is very real, and we'll definitely see what this year's team can truly do to then build on the foundation for future success. So, another great day, another great commitment. Tomuhini Topui. So, great day for USC. At practice right now, as I mentioned, Tim Prangley is at practice. He and Madman will be live tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific time on our USC LAFB YouTube channel. You can also catch it on our Facebook page, LA Football Network, and also on Twitter, LAFB Network. Hope to see you all there. It's a call-in show, so bring your thoughts and questions ready to call in and chat with those two, as they'll do a great job as always. Thank you as always for hanging out with me. Drop your comments below. Let me know your thoughts on just kind of this recruiting momentum, who potentially you think could be the next one or two commits that are going to come this week. Some other guys maybe you're keeping your eye on. Any questions you have that I can answer. We have a lot more content over at lafbnetwork.com. You can find all of our USC recruiting and information there. But yeah, thanks as always for hanging out. Thanks to Bet Online for sponsoring the show. And let's keep this thing rolling. A lot of momentum. Let's keep it rolling. So as always, guys, fight on.